Good evening. The Rio Rancho Public Schools Board of Education meeting for Monday, March 23rd, 2026 is now called to order. All please arise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we'd like to welcome everyone to our meeting tonight. We'd like to welcome all those who are visiting with us. I'm sure Dr. Cleveland would not like me to say this, but this is our last official school board meeting with Dr. Cleveland. And so we have some wonderful things that will be planned kind of throughout the meeting tonight as we honor her. But we're so grateful to her and for all of her service to our school district. Tonight, we would like to start with some introductory comments by our superintendent of schools, Dr. Visu Cleveland.
Good evening, and thank you all for being here this evening. Okay, where are you? So prior to this board meeting, we had a workshop, and we met, as I said, prior to the regular board meeting for the purpose of familiarizing the board with the process of instructional materials adoption, and also talking a little bit about how materials are adopted in the state. We work with a 6-year cycle, and so it's an important, getting the right instructional materials is really an important component of providing our teachers and our instructional coaches with high quality materials that will be used in our schools and classrooms for the next 6 years. So it's always an important investment. And it has to be a wise choice, a very expensive choice. And this year we have a major adoption, and the content that is being adopted is K through 12 mathematics. The workshop was presented by Dr. Stephanie Moore, Executive Director of Secondary Curriculum and Instruction, and Joy Morales, who is the Executive Director for Elementary Curriculum and Instruction. And this evening, they will explain a little bit about the process that they use for the adoption cycle. And then the Board of Education will be asked to consider approval for the purchase of the district's new math material. And we need to have those materials ordered by March 31st so that they can arrive on time before the start of the 2026-2027 school year. Since the process, it's a really lengthy process. It is, though, just the beginning of the work. Once the materials are selected, then you kind of move to the second phase, which is equally important, and that is the professional development, professional training to use those new materials. And certainly new instructional materials have an impact on our district leaders, administrators, teachers, coaches, content specialists, students, families, and others. So we take it really seriously. It is a very important part of teaching and learning in our district. One other thing I would just add really quickly, and that is that we continue to work with the state, some frustration over that instructional materials are not fully paid, and they should be, in our opinion. And so we have worked first initially through the Yazzie Martinez lawsuit, and then through the last few years, the legislative committees, including the LASC, to try to get full payment for adoptions. When you don't get that money, that means it has to come out of your classrooms from some other budget. And so that's just a challenge for the district for the future, is to continue to work to get those paid. One of the things that changed the dynamics a great deal was a decision made a couple of years ago to run the instructional materials money through the operational budget. And if you happen to be at the bottom of that operational budget, in terms of a district getting the least per pupil out of the state equalization guarantee, then that is reflected in the costs of everything. And so I guess the best way I can explain it is that a textbook in one district, they get more money for that textbook than districts that are in that bottom quartile of the funding formula cycle. So that's just something that we'll continue to work on. We are estimating right now that we'll be about $1.5 million short Last year in the science adoption, it was well over 2 million that we were short. We were not the only district. Many others experienced that, but that's something that needs to be a legislative priority. Continue to work on that, but honestly, the materials should be paid for. And it's very interesting. In the Yazzie Martinez lawsuit, one of the findings from Judge Stapleton was that instructional materials were to be paid. So we're still fighting that battle. We'll continue to try to work toward full funding of instructional materials as stipulated in that court decision. We have a commendation this evening that will be presented by Annie Quintana, who is the field representative from Senator Martin Heinrich's office. And I just want to say, we sincerely appreciate the opportunities that our district has had to work with Senator Heinrich and his staff on various projects over the years, and including recent support for Rio Tech. And it was a wonderful opportunity for the senator to visit the campus, and he had time to sit down with some of our students and discuss things with them, and also meeting with some of our teachers and other members of the instructional staff. And so we appreciate those many opportunities, and please send our thanks to the senator. And it's nice to see you again, as you played a key role in some of those visits and some of those partnership activities. So thank you for being here this evening. We have commendations this evening, and we'll come back to that slide during the commendation, but we want to commend our athletic director, Todd Rash, for a recognition that he has earned. So talk a little bit more about that during commendations. And then we have 2 reports this evening. One is a really important issue, and that is safety and security. And this report will be presented by Sal Maniaci, who is, of course, our Executive Director of Safety and Security. And some of the things he will be talking about is the organizational structure of that department, fiscal security, surveillance systems, security personnel, communications, and technology. And you know, safety and security is something that just never leaves our mind as a district, something we never quit thinking about. It's important that we keep our students and our staff safe. And we do an awful lot in the district to try to promote that safety within our own school district and our individual schools. We will have a legislative report this evening by Chris Balzano from Balzano Government Relations, and he will be sharing information, kind of the final report from this past legislative session. Our district chief legal counsel, Lauren Hatch, will also provide some information and comments. And so they'll be talking about the status of legislation that was introduced during the session, what made it, what didn't make it, and why. The status of school funding in House Bill 2, which is the General Appropriations Act, and then other legislation that has a direct impact on the operations of school districts and our employees. We have a hard task for the board this evening. That's the time of year for the student scholarship nominees, and the board will be asked to consider submitting a name of a Rio Rancho student for the New Mexico School Board Association Scholarship Award. 5 student names were submitted to the board for their consideration. Everyone is a great nominee, and I can tell you it's a difficult task that the board has to identify the person we will nominate to the school boards for this award. And then Mariah Affentranger, our Director of Counseling, will present the information on these very deserving student nominees, and she does the work in coordinating and pulling all of that together for the board. We will have a presentation, as I mentioned earlier, on the adoption, on the workshop. We will have the official action by the board this evening on the adoption of the elementary and secondary mathematics curriculum. As I said, detailed information was presented during the board workshop on the work of the elementary and secondary adoption committees. What is the process that they follow? How do they get community input? as well as the things they take into consideration related to standards and the rubric that they use to identify which materials will be recommended to the board. And the recommendation will be presented by Dr. Stephanie Moore and Joy Morales. As you also know, we have a vacancy on the board due to the resignation of Beth Miller for health reasons. And so President Galbraith will lead the discussion regarding the approval of a set of interview questions for the currently vacant seat on the Board of Education. And the board will be selecting questions that will be used when interviewing individuals who are interested in this board service. And at the time, as of right now, we have 4 interested candidates for the position, and application materials are due by the end of the week on the 27th. And then we have another resolution that the board president will present at the end of the meeting. Are there any questions or comments or anything? Okay, thank you.
Okay, what I did forget is to do a roll call. And so, JC, will you do that for us now?
Okay.
President Galbraith,
Present.
Vice President Mueller,
Present.
Secretary Murray,
Present.
Board Member Barry. You have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. I apologize for not doing that. And we'd like to, Board Member Barry, he is on a long planned trip that he is with his family. And so we wish him the best tonight. So we will start tonight with approving our prioritized agenda and proposed time allocations.
Board Member Mueller, motion to approve the prioritized agenda and proposed time allocations.
Board Member Murray, second.
Okay, motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. It's like weird because I feel so one-sided. I'm like, we're very heavy on one side. Okay, our first for tonight is our commendation from Senator Martin Heinrich's office. We'd like to invite Annie Quintana from his office to come up to the podium.
Good evening. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Annie Quintana from Senator Heinrich's Albuquerque office. And I'm so glad to be here to honor you, Dr. Cleveland. The senator sent me this evening to present you with this flag, which was flown over our nation's capital, as well as present you with this certificate of recognition, which says, in recognition of 3 decades of exemplary leadership as superintendent of Rio Rancho Public Schools and her enduring contributions to the education of children in her community and throughout the state of New Mexico. The senator wishes he could be here tonight, but I am so glad to be here to celebrate you and give you this flag.
We want to, well, do that. Go down. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Yeah, and we just want to thank him again for coming out. I'm so grateful for that. So many have been so kind in recognizing Dr. Cleveland. Anything else you want to say before?
Just my sincere thanks, as I shared with Annie, to the senator for that very gracious certificate and the flag. And again, appreciate the many efforts we've had working with this office to better the situation in our schools and to work with us on some projects, including some financial ones. And so we thank him for that. And wish he could be here this evening as well. But Annie, thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Okay, our next commendation is actually going to be presented by Dr. Cleveland for Todd Rush.
The commendation this evening is for Todd Resch. And so Todd, thank you for coming to the front. The National Interscholastic Athletic Administration Association provides the professional development, professional certifications, and leadership resources for athletic directors and administrators who work with athletes at the interscholastic level nationwide. And so they also work very closely with the with the Association for Athletics and other school activities. The work of the National Federation of State High School Associations is a partner with this organization. And so Todd has been selected to be a national trainer for the Leadership Training Institute and the Professional Development Academy, which is, again, a national organization. And it's very rare that we get people asked to be presenters from the state of New Mexico. I did a little research, Todd. I think there's a couple of others at the University of New Mexico that do the substance abuse training. But it is a real honor, not only for our district, for Todd, but also for the state of New Mexico to have him in that role. And so I just wanted you to be aware of that. I wanted to congratulate him. And you have to really, truly be recognized as a leader among your peers to get this invitation to be part of that national faculty. So again, congratulations. You want to say a little bit about some of the things you get to do as part of that and the kinds of training that you provide to athletic directors across the country.
Well, good evening. Thank you for this opportunity. But first, I'm sorry, this is your night. So this is going to be very brief. So what I am is I'm on the national faculty for sports law and also the creation of district athletics handbooks and school athletic handbooks. So it's been really cool to be a part of something like that, teaching through webinars, teaching some face-to-face courses, and being provided an opportunity to teach at the national conference every December. So, but I just need to say that none of this would have been possible without the support of Dr. Cleveland. And she's the one who is responsible for giving me the opportunity to have what I believe is the best sports job in New Mexico. And for that, I am eternally grateful. So thank you, and thank you for this moment. Have a nice evening.
Thanks, Todd. To Todd's point, like even, we're doing a lot to honor Dr. Cleveland, but I think when she gets to honor one of her staff, it shows, that's her legacy is those things. And so we're so grateful that you were able to honor him tonight. And
I'm glad to have had that opportunity as well. It is wonderful. You got the recognition and as I said, it's good for us. It's good for him, but it's also really good for New Mexico. It really puts us on the map. And so again, congratulations to Mr. Resch for being selected for that role.
we definitely need to be put on the map for good things. All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Cleveland and Todd. We'll now go into our report. So our first report for tonight is on safety and security. And we'd like to welcome up Sal Mariachi, our Executive Director of Safety and Security.
Good evening, President Galbraith, Dr. Cleveland, members of the board. Thank you for giving me the opportunity tonight to talk about what the Safety and Security Department does for Rio Rancho Public Schools. So tonight we're going to talk about the department's organizational structure, physical security, our surveillance systems, of course, most importantly, security personnel, communications, and then technology. So our org chart's pretty simple. I have a great director, Jose Salazar, and we break up our management section into two areas. We have a security manager that handles just the high schools. High schools are incredibly busy. It takes a lot of supervision to make sure that everything's going smoothly. And then we have a lead at each high school. So they report directly to that manager, and they have security officers that fall under those folks. And then on the other side, we have our primary schools, which are elementary schools, which is Sal Gonzalez. And he also takes care of CTE, which is Rio Tech, Cyber Academy, Student Support Center, and the middle school. So Sal's a busy guy, but he does a great job taking care of those schools. And again, like I said, they have a great branch of security officers working on each of those folks. And then we have our kind of our admin area. We also handle access control. And our lock shop is a pretty busy shop. We have over 12,000 doors in the district of Rio Rancho School District. A lot of those are controlled by access control. And we do all that with 2 locksmiths and a manager. So those folks stay pretty busy. And then, of course, we have other folks that help us on the private sector side. And then facility use agreements, which is another incredible department that or section that we work with. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in future slides. So implementing school security, I have to say that when I first got here, I learned a lot. And I have to say that the safety and security department, we really try to do a balance of creating just the safest environment we can for our students and our staff, and still make it feel like they're coming to school and it's a very welcoming environment. So, but security is very dynamic. It changes constantly. So always trying to adapt to some of the new trends and some of the new threats that have come to our attention. So we use layers, and the best way I can describe layers is that we try to look at a school and its security from the outside in. So the first thing we want to do is we want to make sure that the perimeter of our schools are secure, and we do that with fencing. And one of the things that we try to do with our recent fencing projects is kind of getting away from those old fencing materials that we use, the cyclone fencing, and we use a product now that we call welded wire. And sometimes when you look at it, you almost can't see it. So it's a very nice product because it provides great security. It's difficult to climb. It's easily repairable. It comes in sections. So when we have it get damaged, instead of trying to change the whole fence out, we could just change out a section. Very secure. So it's a great product. And and then we work on bollards, right? Because we know that sometimes vehicles have been used to cause damage to schools and sometimes even personnel. So working with the facilities department has been a pleasure. We work together. We've installed a lot of bollards throughout the school. And then lighting, we work with those folks a lot. And what we're starting to do now is we're actually starting to work with some bullet resistant film. And what I really like about that product is that it's another way to provide more safety in our schools without even noticing it. So that's great. Like especially in elementary schools, we're starting to use that product more and more. It gives us a great level of protection, protecting the integrity of the building. And as you're driving by, you don't even see it. You don't even notice it, but it's that level of protection. So we start within a perimeter, and the first thing we look at is access control. I will say that that system is incredibly complex because it uses mechanical systems and electronic systems. As you can see, door hardware is all mechanical. It requires a lot of maintenance, especially when we have hardware that's outside that we use on gates. One of the things that we work with a company, DTEX, and we wanted a gate, an outside gate, to help us with elopers. And those are students, typically elementary school students, that want to leave the premises. And some of our schools are busy streets, so we want to make sure they can't get out and be in a dangerous situation. So as we manufactured these gates, these high security gates, we wanted a mechanical device that would give us a delay. So if a student was running towards the gate, they wouldn't be able to get out. So these gates have a 15-second delay on the hardware. As you can imagine, there's some complexity in that push bar. But with that comes maintenance. And a lot of our schools are in environments that have a lot of sand, a lot of dust. So the guys work really hard to make sure that those are always working properly. But again, very, very complex systems. And one of the things too is our systems rely a lot on our network. So we work very closely with the IT department. Can't thank those folks enough, because when we have a system go down, they're on it, they're taking care of it so that our systems are always working the way they should. Forced entry is a system that we use to give another level of scrutiny as visitors want to enter our schools. When they get to the outside of the school, they hit an intercom, they have a conversation with the receptionist, we know who they are, why they're there, and then we open that door, they come in, and then there's another area that we have surveillance cameras in, and the staff is able to scrutinize that person. Does everything look right? I mean, if it's 110 degrees out and they're wearing a trench coat, that's a problem, right? We want security now. So it's a great secondary access point. Everything looks good, then they buzz the next door and they're able to come in and make contact with the administrative staff and take care of their visit. Our surveillance system, we have a really robust surveillance system. And I'll tell you, it's a pleasure to work with it because it just serves a lot of needs. One of the things that we do with it is we have 2 command centers. We have one at Rio Rancho High School and one at Cleveland High School. And those are monitored constantly throughout the day. And the great thing is that as a security officer who's managing that post, you can tell if kids are congregating at a certain point, okay, maybe something doesn't look right, they can dispatch officers to that location. A lot of times we're able to prevent things before they even happen. So it's a great system to have. We're always monitoring. Like I said, it's great for being able to investigate incidents. A lot of times we have, as you can imagine, with as many students we have, 3,000 high school students in a high school, it kind of operates like a small city. So a lot of times we're asked to investigate incidents that have occurred, and we use that as a tool to go back and see what exactly happened. And then it's a valuable tool for human resources. A lot of times the HR department uses that to investigate situations that they're looking into as well. Body worn cameras, you know, it's funny, when I was a police officer, I was never a fan of the body worn camera. I always thought that, you know, the police officer's testimony should be good enough to satisfy any need for any judicial hearings. But you know what I have to say is, as society changed and technology has changed, I think it's an amazing tool. And we implemented that because we were just having a lot of incidents of really aggressive student behavior. And I wanted to be able to document that to you know, to kind of explain what happens, what our officers and what our staff are dealing with. So as a byproduct of that, we started finding out that they were coming in very handy for aggressive parent behavior. So it's just a really wonderful tool that we use to protect staff from allegations and provides for digital evidence. And again, too, what's great is we use it anytime a student's being searched. We make sure that we have those body-worn cameras rolling so that we know that if any accusation come up, we are able to defend ourselves and know exactly what happened. So it's a great tool that we use, and that system is actually wonderful because all that evidence is stored in the cloud. It's protected. It's unable to be manipulated. So it has wonderful evidential integrity. And then here it is. Here's what I love most about the department is our security officers. I believe it's the most important component of safety and security. And I will tell you this, we have such a strict selection process. Basically, and I'm proud to say that we can still do this, we won't really hire anybody unless I know them personally, my director knows them personally, or somebody we trust knows them personally. Because I think that bringing somebody in our schools to work with our kids is something that you have to cherish. And we just want to make sure that, you know, we look for folks that have great tactical skills, they're physically fit, they're able to do the job, but they also have that personality that we know they can mesh with the kids. They can mesh with the students and work with our staff. And I think we've done a really great job of finding good people. And here's just an opportunity of, you know, they just develop these relationships, and we know those relationships are what's going to help us when we investigate crimes or we want somebody to let us know something bad is about to happen. This is key. And like I said, they do a wonderful job. We have armed and unarmed security officers. We're the only district in the state of New Mexico now because Farmington was doing it, and I guess they stopped doing it. They've had some personnel changes in their district, and they're no longer running an armed school security officer program. But I believe that our system is fantastic. I wish I could say I designed it, but I didn't. But I was able to walk into a system that was put together incredibly well. I think, like I said, the people that work it are what make it great. Our training is top notch. You know, I'm fortunate enough to have a safety and security coordinator who was a major with New Mexico State Police who ran the academy. So what better person could you ask for to take care of our training and help us out with instructing even our staff in active shooter and other important topics. But all our instructors are in-house, and we're very fortunate to have a great relationship with Rio Rancho Police Department. They also assist us in some of the training. And at the bottom picture there on the slide, you can see New Mexico State Police bomb technicians are there. We had them on an in-service training day, and they're giving our security officers training on how to detect explosive devices and what you do if you happen to find something, how you conduct those investigations. So it was just a great day of training. But it just goes to show, like I said, because we have officers from Rio Rancho PD and APD and state police, we bring in these agencies to do training with us, and it just works out incredibly well. Communications, I can tell you that over 30 years in law enforcement, whenever we critiqued a critical incident, one of the first breakdowns was always communication. So one of the things that we always wanted to work on here was developing a great communication system. And several years ago, we were able to put together a network-wide system in our district for a repeater system. So any officer from one school could talk to another officer in another school, and which was a great accomplishment. We were able to get that done. And recently, we took it one step further. We work with the police department. Again, like I said, great partners at Rio Rancho PD. I want to thank Chief Steele. He has an individual that works for him that is their radio technician. That's all he does is their radios. And I walked in there talking to the chief and told him what we wanted to do. And so he introduced me to Charles Ross. And we walked back to Charles' office, and he said, Charles, Sal Maniaci with Rio Rancho Public Schools, you give him whatever he needs. And that was it. So, and here we are today that we actually have radios that talk directly to not only Rio Rancho PD, but Bernalillo County Sheriff's Department, New Mexico State Police, and Sandoval County Sheriff's Office. And that's just a flick of a button on our radio. So great technology, but the partnerships is what really made that come to fruition. So we're very happy at that. We're going to continue to work on that, getting that system even better. So really happy with those, with that situation. And those radios, what's great about those radios is that the dispatchers of Rio Rancho PD, if one of our officers is in a crisis situation and they hit that panic button on their radio, they know who it is and they can send assistance to us just like that. So technology, one of the things that we really try to do is try to be one step ahead. And the way we do that, we look for proactive security features. What can we put in our schools that keep something bad from happening? And so one of the things that we use is we use gunshot detection. And as much as we hate to say it, it's just a great system to have, because what that system does, utilizing two key components. So we try to reduce false alarms. So what this system uses, it uses an infrared signal and a sound detection signal. So you have to have the two simultaneously to activate the alarm. So it really keeps, I can't remember the last time we had a false alarm on this system. But if it should get activated, it works on the access control system. It will put the school in immediate lockdown. And then what it does is it accesses the closest camera and it produces that image in our command centers and at the dispatch center at Rio Rancho PD. So they'll have an immediate notification of what's happening. And then what's even better is that system will track it. So if there's multiple gunshots, the sensor is going to detect where that shot is coming from and activate that camera. So essentially it'll track the suspect if the suspect is on the move. So great system. Again, we're just very fortunate to have these systems, but it requires a lot of maintenance. And we always have folks working on things to make sure that it's working the way it should. Recently, we've implemented the Evolved Concealed Weapon Detection System. Again, it integrates with our access control system, our surveillance system. And the best thing about it is we wanted a system that we can make our schools safer, but not impede the flow of students as they come into the school. You'll see the system used at the Pentagon, Disneyland. You'd be surprised how many people are using the system. And the kids can just walk through. Students walk through there, they don't take anything out of their pockets. They walk through with their backpacks. And the more that we've used the system, our students are learning what sets off the system, what doesn't. So the way getting students through is just getting better and better all the time, just by virtue of knowing, what it looks for. And essentially it uses, I like people use the term AI now for everything. It's not necessarily using AI in real time, but the engineers that design this system, what they do is they collect data. They look at some of the analytics that the system collects and they try to improve on it. And they use AI to make those improvements. So we always see the system getting better and better. And it's just looking for specifically identified objects and weapons, and that's what it's looking for. So it's not looking for keys, it's not looking for sunglasses, and it's just a really great system. I'm glad that we have it. I think when we first put the system in, I have to tell you, I was anticipating a lot of phone calls. And parents are not gonna be happy. We did some public service announcements, we did some other stuff. And I got to this day, I have not received a phone call from anybody who doesn't like it. So I just think that's a big plus for our community and a great plus for our school. And then facility use agreements. This was something that we took on recently, and I don't know why. I question that decision often. You're welcome. But it's worked out really good. We have a great coordinator that's working with us now, and it really is far-reaching because our district has a great facilities. And whether it comes to fine arts or athletics, we just have some of the best facilities in the state. So of course, everybody wants to use them, schools, private organizations, and it's a lot to coordinate. So like I said, I think we do a really good job with it. It's a lot of work. And like I said, it's got a lot of things to it. We'll just leave it at that, but it's and we like it. So with that, ending on that, I will answer any questions that you have.
Okay, thank you so much for doing this. I wish Michael had been here tonight, and I'm sure that he'll listen to it because I know that he'll have more questions and such for you. So I'm sure he'll listen to it later. But Dr. Cleveland, do you want to add anything before we go into questions?
Just a couple of comments. One, as I mentioned earlier, the issue of student safety never leaves our minds ever. It's always there. And over the last several years, we've had, for example, the union and others expressed their appreciation for the efforts the district has made to keep our classrooms as safe as possible. I know there are people in the building who can handle emergency situations. And several years ago on Valentine's Day, we had an incident, could have been very bad, did not turn out to be, but could have been. And one of the comments that we got back after that was how impressed the other entities who were involved in that incident, how well prepared the district was. Everything went according to plan in terms of how you deal with emergencies. And And so it was a lot of really positive, strong feedback. And that doesn't happen without a lot of hard work and planning. And just that you just, on a day where you have an emergency, that's not the day you start worrying about all those things. And so I really appreciate all the time and effort this department puts in to keeping us safe every day. And we can't, nothing is 100%. We know that. Nothing is 100% foolproof. But we know we're a lot safer than a lot of other places are because we made it always made it a priority of the district. And I think it's important to our students that they feel safe and they know there's people on campus who can help in case there are incidents, and there always are some incidents and have to be responded to. So, and the last comment is on facility use, which is a tough area and gets passed around, right? But I don't know who you're going to give it to because, but it, you know, in this city, we do not have a lot of public meeting places, which is very limited. And so what that ends up being is they look to the school district to help with some of those things. And, you know, sometimes folks don't understand why we have fees for the use of those facilities. And I would want to really emphasize that the fees are just to maintain what we have, to try to help with the upkeep. There's a lot of wear and tear on our facilities. And if we don't get some support for that, that money's going to come right out of your classrooms. And so, and it shouldn't. It should not be a way that that you know we fund people wanting to use our buildings. So it's trying to reimburse actual costs. That's all it is. Not making any money. It's not something that is a money-making venture for us in any way. And in fact, we still lose. We still have enough to cover it. But that's the purpose of that facility use agreement. And that's why we come to the board with approval for those fees. And it's and it's still a really good deal, I think, compared to some other places. We've compared to some other school districts, and we're still very reasonable in what we ask people to pay when they use our facilities. So just wanted to make that comment. And also, you know, again, to thank Sal for the really good report, but for putting together, he's absolutely right, putting together a really fine group of individuals that work really hard for all of our students and our staff and our families, and often reach out to our families as well. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
If I could just say one thing, that, you know, none of this happens alone. And I tell you, we would not be as successful as we are if it wasn't for the departments that we work with.
Mhm.
And, you know, especially like I said, I talked about network. You know, IT is huge in what we do. Facilities, Scott Lepperman and Patrick Martinez are just great partners. Finance couldn't do without those folks supplying us the funds. So I'm just very fortunate to work in this district because we have such great partnerships. And of course, you all here, you know, by supporting safety and security. So I just can't thank you all enough as well.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Questions from the board? Seth?
Thank you for, I know it's a lot. I know a lot of your guys. I know some of the state police guys are jealous. You guys have Bird now to help you here. So yeah, they're excited. I mean, he's a great guy for the training and all of the personnel. And for, as a representative of the district, all of the personnel are outstanding. I also help with the Del Norte Gun Club. I coordinate all the law enforcement military training. We have 18 agencies that participate with us. And one of the better ones we have is the Rio Rancho Public School Safety and Security. And the way you guys come out, your professionalism. Other departments have run over gates, broken stuff, and you guys are always above and beyond. And the club appreciates that. And I know that that's just an extension of the leadership here at the schools.
Thank you.
Rebecca?
I don't have any questions, but I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. I know my kids are safe and the students are safe and the staff. Thank you so much for everything you do.
Oh, thank you. It's interesting. I had this conversation with my kids over the weekend. We were just so one of them, she's away over at college, but she was talking about high school and someone was saying they never had any security at their schools. And she was like, what? Like, that's crazy, you know? And I don't want it to think like, yeah, we have to have security because we have, you know, bad students, because that's not it. But we want to make sure that our students are protected. And I know my children, and 2 have gone through the district now, and I have 2 still in school, have always felt that they are protected in our schools. And we have such a great team that my kids even know many of them by name and talk about them and are grateful for them. And so you guys are doing a wonderful job. And I hope that we can continue to give you those resources that you need so that our kids feel safe. We're living in a time where kids walk in and they think, okay, what do I do to escape this if I need to? And that's a hard truth, right, for them. But for them to be able to walk in and to be able to feel confident that they can learn, because we have a great team that is watching over them and protecting them. So I guess I have one question for you, that if you could think of, and I'm sure you're already forward thinking, but what is kind of that next thing that you're looking to, something that you would like us to start, implementing in the district at some point? Maybe it's just something that you're looking at right now that maybe we won't, but what are some of those things that you're looking to for the future?
Really just improving our fencing at our schools. Some of the fencing is old, and in some of our schools, there's been so much sand blown up where
Yeah.
the fence is now a 3-foot fence. And so we just really want to, we've kind of put together a list of priorities. Some of the schools we want to address as soon as possible. And then the implementation of bullet resistant film. I've never been a fan of it, to be very honest with you. I've never seen a product that I thought was any good. Recently, we had a company presented one of our, Jose Salazar did a great job putting together this consortium of different school district safety and security departments, and we would get together, meet quarterly, and just talk about ideas, what we're doing, what we aren't doing, and what's working at one district and not for another. And what happened was we had a contact with this company who wanted to kind of demonstrate a product, and I never wanted to use it as a platform for vendors. But what happened was one of the principal owners is a retired Mesa PD SWAT officer who I happened to run into over the years. So I said, well, let's give them a shot and see what they have. Well, they brought this product in, and we took it to the range, and we shot the heck out of this thing. And I don't know if you guys know Jose Salazar. He's a pretty big boy. He's about a good 300 pounds and a big retired state police officer. And we gave him a baseball bat and told him to break through it, and he couldn't. And I thought, okay, well, now you have my attention. And so far is that I took a personal trip they're out of Scottsdale. I took a personal trip to visit a friend of mine to go play golf, and I visited this company because I figured I wanted to see what they're all about. And I was thoroughly impressed. And I thought, okay, this is a company that's really got a proprietary product that works. And I want to start using their product more because, again, to me, it's a way that we can protect our schools, we can keep our students safe, our staff safe, and it doesn't look like a correctional institution.
Yeah.
It's nice. And that's what I want. I want our kids to go to school and feel great about it, feel like they're going to school. And that's important to me. So that's some of the things looking forward. Those are the two things I'd like to really concentrate on. And then personnel, like I said, I could always use more folks. One of our biggest challenges is training because I don't have enough staff to pull 5 or 6 guys to spend a day at the range, So we have to be really careful of how we move people around to do some more training. So if I could get more staff, that'd be great. Gives us more flexibility to spend more time training those important issues.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Anything else, Dr. Cleveland, from you? Thank you so much. It was a great report. We appreciate it. Thank you. Okay. Our next is our legislative report. We'd like to welcome up Chris Balzano from Balzano Government Relations, along with Lauren Hatcher, Chief Legal Counsel, to present. It's good to see you, Chris.
Good evening, President, Superintendent, and members of the board. I'm Chris Balzano, your Government Relations liaison. It's good to be here after a rough, tough, and long session. Long 30 legislative days, not 30 days, let's put that way, right? We started on Tuesday, January 20th, and we ended on Thursday, February 19th. The governor had until March 11th to act on legislation that were on her desk. A week later after that, you receive a report from us, from our firm, with it's called the Governor's Desk Report, and has all the bills there. Also has a breakdown of House Bill 2 with an analysis on education. Everything that you need to know is in that report. In addition to that, Laura and I work in this presentation. You're gonna see that there is a lot of detail there. We don't wanna go over reading every single bullet, but there is that information so you can go back there and take a look at it. We're gonna just do a overview on this. On the next slide, you're gonna see a little bit of statistics on the session. You can see that from 815 pieces of legislation, which includes bills, memorials, and joint resolutions, only 2 were vetoed and 71 were signed by the governor. So it's a very small percentile that makes to the governor's desk and then gets signed. From the 815, 73 of those were educational bills, or somehow they're indirectly or directly could impact education. You're going to see Lauren's going to talk a little bit about a tax bill that was amended on the last day of the session that does impact school districts. One observation, some of the things I was discussing with Lauren and also the team, is that we are seeing that 30-day sessions on the last few years have been just like a 6-day session. We understand that in the Constitution and in the rules and procedures of the parliamentary system, that the 30-day session is for budget only, or things related to tax that impact the budget. But we are seeing policies being dropped through legislation left and right in both chambers. So my recommendation is, for now long, we do treat a 30-day session as a 60-day session, because Lauren's going to talk about that on House Bill 2, how much policy it was in that bill. And we took a lot of time breaking that down. And then with that, Lauren, take over.
Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Cleveland, it's a pleasure to address you tonight and to work with my good friend, Chris Balzano here. He is right. It was a 30-day session, but it felt like the longest 30 days in living memory. There was a lot that was going on. There was about 70 bills that were really related to our business as a school district. But when all the dust was settled, there was really 16 that we're looking at very carefully, and having implementation teams work through those bills to see if there's any changes that the district needs to make in its policies, in its procedures, and its practices. This presentation has all of the bills that we're looking at, and I'm not going to talk about every one of them. Certainly happy to answer any questions that you might have, but I want to hit some key points. So on slide number 4, House Bill 2, the General Appropriations Act of 2026. This is the money bill. This is the bill every year where we're looking to make sure that we are funded appropriately. And we had mixed results. There's about a 2% increase in school funding this year. That's much smaller than what we've seen in the past. But Rio Rancho Public Schools turned out pretty good. There's a couple things in there that we really like. Number one, there is funding in there to increase insurance premiums paid on behalf of our employees to 80% paid by the district. Before, up to this point, there's a tiered process. Some employees had 80% of their premiums paid. Some only had 60%. So now it will all be 80. We also received $300,000 in there to continue our math labs in elementary schools. And we got $360,000 in there to continue building out our solar lab at Rio Tech. I want to move your attention to slide number 7. I had talked about how House Bill 2 has funding in there to pay 80% of the premiums for employees. House Bill 47 is actually the change in the statute that requires a school district to pay at least 80%. And then it has a very interesting provision in there, which all the school policy nerds will be very interested in. And that is, in the statute up until now, it has defined a school district as a school district that doesn't have more than 60,000 students. And what that does is it defines out APS. And they've been able to have their own insurance program. And House Bill 47 actually ends that. It's been our contention that APS has had a better insurance package than the New Mexico Public School Insurance Authority. And that's been a challenge for us as we're trying to recruit and retain employees. Hopefully this will result in a better product for everybody, but it'll make us more competitive, we think. I'd like to direct your attention to slide number 9. There was a lot of focus on distance learning programs at the legislature. There was a lot of intense debate about that. And the legislature passed House Bill 253, was signed by the governor. And really what it does is it reins in full-time virtual schools, and primarily ones that are what I will call a turnkey school, where a contractor will come to a school district and say, you know what, either we'll take some of your students or we have our own students. We will teach them. We will provide all the teachers. We will provide the curriculum. We'll do it virtually. and that we will split the revenue that comes from the state. And there was a few particular circumstances where the legislature was unhappy with that result. And they passed this bill to really rein that in. And we'll see what happens over the next few years as they continue to look at that, and PED evaluates these types of programs. Now, this bill does not affect any programs that we have at Rio Rancho Public Schools. And we, for instance, the Cyber Academy, it doesn't affect that. These distance learning programs are ones where they are full-time online programs, and students do not need to come into a school physical building at all. That's not the model that we use at our Cyber Academy. We're going to carefully look at this. We're going to continue monitoring this issue going forward. I'd like to direct your attention to page 12. There's some interesting house memorials that were adopted by the legislature as well that we're going to be looking at very carefully. House Memorial 2, they want to study the use of screens in elementary schools, and that's becoming an important topic. House Memorial 30 is a study of public education governance in the state. In the last few years, there's been bills to change the way that PED works and to maybe go back to a state public education commission with a non-appointed commissioner as the head of it. And they're going to study whether that's a good idea or not. House Memorial 47, they want to study teacher workloads. That's something that we're very interested in. They have this new idea called Gifted in the Field, which adds extra like specialist endorsements to a teacher's license. And then we're very interested in the Inspection of Public Records Act implementation study that they want to do as well. So we're going to keep a close eye on those things. Memorials are not bills. Memorials are where the legislature is expressing an opinion or they're asking for things to be done, like a study. But they can produce very important results that we like to pay attention to. Next, there's 3 bills starting on page 14. Senate Bill 29, which during the legislature was called the Math Bill. And then Senate Bill 37, which has been called the Reading Bill. And then Senate Bill 64, which is the creation of the Office of Special Education. These are pretty substantive changes in the way that education is done in New Mexico. With math, they're really creating a statewide framework for how you teach math. They're creating new assessments, and they're adding additional reporting requirements to parents on fairly tight timeframes, 30 days. Really, the focus is improving math learning and teaching in the state of New Mexico. We're implementing this right now. We're going to continue watching what the legislature does in this area. Senate Bill 37, which is on page 15, the literacy bill. This is a continuation of work that PED and the legislature have been doing over the last few years to really change the way that reading is taught in the state of New Mexico, using what is called the science of reading. This expands it to all types of literacy, including bilingual. And it has requirements that we only use PED-approved materials, and also has reports that kind of parallel the math ones, that when we identify a problem with reading, that we're letting parents know on a very short time frame, 30 days, so that those things can be addressed. I'd like to move to slide number 16, Senate Bill 64, creating the Office of Special Education. This has been a priority that the governor has had to really focus on special education. The previous proposals have always been creating an entity outside of the public education department. This puts it inside of it. And this, in our evaluation, this was the best proposal that we've seen to this point, and it has been enacted into law. One of the things that we're looking very carefully at is the requirement that they develop and maintain a statewide uniform online system for creating IEPs. We're looking at that very carefully. We have an online system that we use. It's a little bit different than what we're anticipating from PED, but we haven't seen what they're asking for yet. And then the Office of Special Education is going to monitor and enforce compliance with special ed laws. Next, Chris had mentioned on slide 18, Senate Bill 151. Usually a pay raise for public employees comes in House Bill 2. And some of the earlier drafts of it included a pay raise, but then they were struck out kind of at the last minute. The legislature didn't find as a collective group that that was an acceptable result. And so they amended on the last day a bill that's actually a tax bill to include some pay raises. So there's a 1% average pay raise for public employees, which includes school employees. We'll be implementing that as well. Slide number 19, Senate Bill 241, Child Care Assistance Program. This is another very significant piece of legislation out of the session this year. The governor in about November of 2025 had implemented a system that would pay for childcare, universal childcare. And it wasn't in the law. She was using budget that she had, and they felt like they had authority to use that money. I'm not sure the legislature agreed with that to begin with, but in the end, they did pass a law that would allow for universal childcare. One of the issues that was hotly debated was whether there should be any deductibles. And the bill ended up with a deductible in it, but it's only for people who are 600% of the federal poverty level. They would phase those deductibles in. 600% of the federal poverty level is about $200,000. So it's a very high level amount before you would pay any deductibles. This does affect the district. It affects our employees. It also affects us because we have a daycare that would qualify, that does qualify under this. And so this is a significant change. We were also very fortunate through work from our staff and work from Chris and his folks to be able to get some significant capital outlay dollars on slide number 20. These are all the projects that we were able to get funded, at least partially. And it's about $2.6 million, fairly significant. We are very grateful to our delegation who allocates these funds and for the legislature for passing them. It's about $1 million more than we had last year. I think finally, I just wanted to highlight on slide number 21 that there is a referendum that the legislature passed. It will be on the November 2026 ballot. And if the voters approve it, it would allow elections for school boards to be conducted during partisan elections. And that would be probably a fairly significant change. So that's something to watch. And I'm going to hand the microphone back to Chris.
So what's next? We are waiting. Organization meetings will begin next month on May 18th. And then on June, I hit the road and start traveling, monitoring all those hearings around the state. We will be watching the Legislative Education Study Committee working on what Lauren stated in regards to the virtual learning. That's going to be definitely in their agenda. And the next item, their agenda, they're going to put together the Albuquerque Public Schools, Rio Rancho Public Schools, Santa Fe and Las Cruces Public Schools to discuss about transportation. There is, we're going to fix that on a 60-day session. That's the hope during this interim on working on that. Fiscal year for us start on July 1st, this upcoming capital outlay submissions. As always, I'll keep all of you updated. October 16, the portal opens and we can submit that. The deadline for that will be December 12, the end of the year. And interim session or interim committees will end on December 16, and we start a 6-day session again. So.
Again.
You just made time feel like it went really fast. So,
With that, if any questions, Madam President, thank you.
Dr. Cleveland, did you want to add anything?
I just, want to say it was the wildest session ever for a 30-day. It was not strictly financial at all. There were just so many policy things that came through. And so it was like a marathon, I guess, for those of you working up there every day. But a lot of good things did come out of it. And I guess one of the questions I would ask Lauren is, after you've had a chance to look at it and having worked with Mike Baker, do you think that we're going to have sufficient funding for the 80-20, that the state will pay for that, or that we will end up having to support some of that with just local district funds? Or do we know that yet?
Thank you, Dr. Cleveland. According to the legislature, we have sufficient funds to pay for it. We're looking at that now. We have found.
That's
unfortunately,
reassuring.
We're very grateful for what we get. But unfortunately, sometimes the math doesn't always add up. And there's some uncertainties too, because we kind of know who has insurance now. This is a better deal. And it could be that we have more of our employees who are saying, you know what, at this point, I want to join. And those types of inclusions would probably begin about January 1st. And so that would be in the middle of a budget cycle. We're looking at that very carefully. Hopefully we have enough. One way or the other, we're going to make do.
I know they talked about it a lot when we were up there in February for the school board conference. And of course, we get to talk to, they have different presentations, and they kept assuring that, yes, of course, this is going to be funded, but it doesn't always show that way. And even those districts who had already been doing that too, that they weren't going to get hurt by that as well. So hopefully.
Well, and the 80-20, as you said, is a really good deal. And it's better than anything that's been proposed in the past. In the past, it was 80-20 for the employee only. And this 80-20 is for the family as well. And family plans are very expensive for families. And so not only does it help with the short term now, but prices will very likely go up in healthcare. They've been going that way for a really long time. And so you at least know that whatever those increases are, 80% of that should be funded through the state and 20% by the employee. So it was the 1% was very nice. It helped with some inflationary things, but the real win for school employees was the 80-20. And I know that our union worked very hard for that. Many other organizations across the state worked very hard for it, and it's a real plus in terms of recruitment and retention of staff. As Lauren kind of alluded to, we don't know whether we'll pick up more spouses now, that maybe have been on separate policies, and this is a better deal. We do know, and for me, that's, I think that's a real shame and a shock that we still have some people who don't have health insurance and will now be coming on to the rolls because this is a better deal for them, and they can make it's more affordable, and they can make it work for their own budgets. So this was an extremely important bill for public school employees, and I think everyone's very grateful for the time and effort and work that went into making that happen. And the 1% came at the last second, kind of surprised at the end, but again, that helped with inflationary. Certainly, we get the 80-20, but healthcare costs are going up, and so it helped offset that as well. So those were very important things for us. The other thing I wanted to just comment on is the whole discussion around that Office of Special Education. And as Lauren said, this is the best of the proposals. Originally, they were going to move it outside of the whole public ed department. And the reality of that would have been, we've got early childhood, we've got the public ed department. Now we would have had the Department of Special Ed, would have had 3 entities that we were reporting to. And that's challenging. But the argument of needing to have more visibility for special ed programs in the state is valid. And so putting that under the secretary, directly under the secretary, still gives it that increased visibility and allows that individual to sit on committees where special ed policy and funding are being discussed, and someone who is very knowledgeable about those things. And while our secretary is certainly knowledgeable about special ed, she is the first to say, I don't know all the particulars that would really be important to have when you're sitting there negotiating for something. And so she was very much in support of this position and moving it under the public ed department. But we are at a crisis point in this state, and I think that's a recognition of the fact that we know our special ed funding isn't working as well as it needs to. We know that all the needs of our children with disabilities are not being met. We're not quite sure where we should go with that and how we should fix that. And so this position will help be part of those discussions during the interim. And we do have a new person that is in charge of that area, and she seemed very knowledgeable. And so I think everyone's very excited about the possibility of those conversations through the interim to begin to really look at special education in our state and how it could be improved and how it could be changed.
Well, thank you. And then Seth, any questions or comments?
Just thank you. I know it can't be fun hanging out with politicians all the time, so.
No comment.
I don't have any questions. Thank you for all the work you do.
Okay. And I don't know if you guys have had a chance to meet Chris Balzano before, but he's a great advocate for us. And when we're up in Santa Fe during the sessions or we go up for the conferences, Chris is up there. So if there's something that you need, we can get you together with him. He's done a great job. When I first started, he was great at kind of showing me some of the ropes and at times sitting in the hallway as we waited for other people to go and do things. So we're really grateful to him. So any last things that we really need to worry about right in the moment as we move ahead? Are we getting any whispers, I guess, of anything that might be coming up in these next sessions of things that we should be concerned about that you're hearing?
We're hearing that they want to take on transportation funding formula, which
Okay.
is an important issue for
Yeah.
public schools. Some of the other larger districts. It's really important for all districts.
Yeah.
We're also hearing that they're interested in possibly looking at that 30, 60-hour professional development
Mhm.
change that we
would be so
pursued
good.
last year. Looks like there's more interest in maybe looking at it at that again,
Okay.
going into the next session related to teacher workloads at Memorial. So I don't know. Do you have anything else you want to add?
I think the next thing we should really watch, as you know, is an election year. I don't do politics, I do policy, but when I'm off the session, it's my responsibility to monitor what is happening in the political world. And I think, as we know, I lost the counts how many times we had a Secretary of Education, and that impacts the whole education agenda in the state. So we're going to have a new administration coming in. It could happen that it stays the way it is or not. So we just should monitor that
Mhm.
and then be prepared for the 6-day session and see what it comes. So
Okay. Well, thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah.
But just one other quick comment. I just want to make sure I clarify something. And again, I also want to thank Chris for all his hard work. And it really works well, I guess, to have the team. Lauren and David and others here working and working with Chris in Santa Fe and maximizing that communication back and forth. And so we do appreciate all of your hard work and being available to help us when we have needs. I just wanted to clarify on the universal child care law. The 600% is a trigger, right? It's triggered if the economy starts to decline for any reason, or is it co-pays regardless?
Dr. Cleveland, my Madam President, Dr. Cleveland, my understanding is that they'll have sliding scale co-pays for people whose income is at 600% of. So if you have an income above that, they will be implementing co-pays.
Can we look into that? Because I got something that came in recently that said, because we just look at that. Because I think there are some different opinions about it. And I don't know, you're probably right. I do think that there's some different opinions about it. So if we could just look at that. And again, thank you both for all the time and effort that you put in. And the legislature is such, it's one of the things that is so different than other states. If you've worked in other states, the legislature in New Mexico functions as a super school board. And that is not the case in other places. And so they have such an impact on the decisions, affect almost every single thing we do as a district, that you do as a board. And 95% of our funding, or more than that now, it's probably 98% of our funding for our budget comes directly through the SCG in Santa Fe, whereas in other states, that's very different. So the legislature is a huge priority for us because it impacts every single thing we do, everything from transportation to classroom instructions. You could see new rules and regulations regarding literacy and mathematics. And so it's really interesting, the function. but we pay an awful lot of attention to it because it impacts every single thing we do every day. So thank you for your hard work.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I know you feel like we need to clap. I know sometimes it's so quiet in here. I feel like the same. You guys should be loud. No, I'm just kidding. All right. We do not have any public comment for tonight. For those who would like to give public comment in the future, please sign up before the board meeting starts, or you can use our public comment form. We'll now go to the consent agenda. If we can get a motion on that.
Board Member Murray, motion to accept the consent agenda.
Board Member Mueller, second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. I keep trying to write numbers for how many board members we have. So I start with 5. Nope, we don't have 5 in here. I start with 4. No, we only have 3. Sorry. Okay. We'll now go into the business portion of our meeting. We'll start with our first item, which is to consider the nominations for the 2026 NMSBA Student Scholarship. And so we have, there she is. I was kind of looking out there for you, Mariah Affentranger. So yay. So she'll present these to us tonight.
Good evening, Dr. Cleveland, President Galbraith, and members of the board. I am so excited to be here this evening to celebrate the accomplishments of 5, because we have 5 high schools, of 5 of the amazing seniors in our school district. I know you have the student nominations before you, but I would like to highlight each student in turn and share some of their accomplishments, as well as the guidelines for the New Mexico School Boards Association Scholarship. So the nominees must be a senior graduating with the class of 2026. They must be pursuing a degree in higher education or a career and technical degree or certificate. And the senior nominated by the Rio Rancho School Board will be selected based on the following criteria: leadership, academic performance, community involvement, and extracurricular activities. Okay, there's number 1. Xavier Jett is our first student representing Independence High School. In the words of his counselor, Josh Garcia, Xavier has demonstrated strong leadership while attending Independence High School. Due to the diversity of students who attend there, as with any high school, there are ample opportunities to be distracted or to participate in unwholesome talk or negativity. Xavier has consistently distanced himself from negative behavior, choosing instead to focus on his academics and what he needed to accomplish to graduate. Upon enrolling in Independence, the environment and support from his teachers made a meaningful impact on his academics. He gained confidence in his ability to learn and achieve his goals, and as his grades improved, so did his motivation. Xavier will walk in the May graduation, but he actually completed his coursework in March of 2026, an entire quarter early. He is planning on attending C&M and or a trade school. Our second senior is Maylee Grace Sellers from the Rio Rancho Cyber Academy. In the words of her counselor, Ashley Salazar, Maylee consistently demonstrates strong leadership among her peers. Throughout her years at Rio Rancho Cyber Academy, she has been a steady and positive presence who leads by example. Maylee has extended her leadership beyond the classroom through participation in National Honor Society and associated students. She also mentors younger students through the Cyber Scorpion Success Academy and through her work as a mentor with our own Rio Rancho Public Schools SAFE program. Maylee's commitment to excellence is reflected in her 3.97 GPA and her recognition as this year's salutatorian. Beyond school-related service, Maylee actively supports her church community and plays a significant role at home, helping to care for and support her younger siblings with disabilities. Maylee will be attending Eastern New Mexico University and plans to major in early childhood education. Our third senior represents Rio Rancho High School, Aspen B. Lee, nominated by her counselor, Ann Chapman. Aspen currently serves as the student body president for the class of 2026 and the historian for the National Honor Society. Aspen has been an active member of Best Buddies, an organization dedicated to supporting opportunities for students with intellectual and developmental disabilities, and currently serves as their vice president and co-president of Unified Sports. In addition to her leadership roles, Aspen excels academically and was recognized as an AP Scholar and inducted as a member of the Science National Honor Society. Aspen was also a member of the RRHS varsity track team for 2 years and currently serves as the track manager. I do not want to fail to mention that Aspen also works outside of school at our local Schlotzsky's, where, in addition to her regular duties, she serves as a trainer for new employees. Aspen is currently considering attending the University of New Mexico in the fall. Our fourth nominee is Franz Marl Guenatarin from Rio Tech. In the words of his Rio Tech counselor, Ellie Ortiz, Franz has taken on responsibilities and leadership roles in a new school that have helped establish norms, expectations, and a strong culture for the students who will follow. Franz's decision to join a new school in his final year of high school demonstrates initiative, courage, and a commitment to building something meaningful. When Franz graduates in May, he will have also completed 62 C&M credit hours towards an Associate of Applied Sciences in Computer Information Systems Network Administration. Franz has been on the honor roll every semester of high school, and in the fall, he made the Dean's List at C&M. Franz was also an active member of the VSU Cleveland Marching Band Drumline and a member of the Wind Symphony. He also actively participates in church groups through Faith Church and regularly participates in soup kitchens, clothing and food drives, and community events. Franz would like to attend New Mexico Tech and pursue a mechanical engineering degree with a minor in business. Our final nominee, Emma Basetail, I had to figure out how to pronounce her name, comes from VSU Cleveland High School. Maxine Cordova, transition specialist at CHS, describes Emma as a dependable and self-motivated student who leads by example. Emma demonstrates strong academic ability, has taken several AP classes, and currently maintains a GPA above 4.0, placing her in the top 6% of her graduating class. In addition to her coursework, she is working towards completing her OSHA 10 medical training certification, which connects directly to her interest in the healthcare field. Emma is a member of the National Honor Society and is actively involved in the CHS Symphonic and Marching Band. Through the National Honor Society, she participates in peer tutoring to support others' success in the classroom. Emma plans to attend the University of New Mexico and pursue a path toward becoming a surgeon. All righty, that concludes my formal presentation. What a wonderful group of RRPS seniors. I am a counselor and I wish we could nominate all 5 of them, but you do have to make one of those amazing students our RRPS nominee. I'm glad that's not my decision. If I can answer any questions, I'm still here.
Okay.
But here you go.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And you did a great job with those, Maria. This is like my love-hate because I love to see all these students and they're all so good and capable, but then we have to make a decision off of who we would like. And so not always, so we're going to nominate, and we're going to send this to the New Mexico School Board Association, but not always do our nominees end up with the scholarship. But we have had in the past, we've had, since I've been on the board, I think at least 2 or 3. So that's pretty good. Once, usually, unless they change it, if they get it this year, then we won't be eligible for it next year. But anyone want to start a discussion or make a motion on our young people here? And I'm loving your slides here too, Maria, just so you just, I just great things. Yeah, it's amazing actually what it can do these days. Any thoughts? Their faces are very thoughtful.
Difficult.
Yeah.
It really is.
I would actually love, we have Rio Tech. I would love, and I can put that out there, but I'd love Franz. His last name is so really hard. Franz Marl. You said it's Guenatarin. I think that he's doing so many great things right now in his life. He's already moving ahead and is going to C&M and has some good things going on. Every single one of them would be fantastic, but I wouldn't mind him. Seth has some thoughts. He's even holding his hand over the microphone.
I also consider myself highly introverted.
There you go. Any thoughts on that? I can, unless you have strong feelings towards someone else, I can make a motion if you would
I
like.
think this is a really difficult
It is.
decision.
Every
Really
year,
is.
every
I
year.
will-
You think that would, we could do that one?
Yeah.
Okay. Seth, what are you feeling?
That's fine. I'll motion that we
Okay.
nominate Franz Gunnatarin to be the New Mexico School Board Association nominee.
Thank you. You make a second?
I'll second.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor of this?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Nope. Motion carries with the three of us. So thank you so much. So we'll have some paperwork to sign on that. I think, do we all sign on that, JC, that paperwork? Can't remember. I have it here. No, I don't have that one. So we'll just, okay. Okay. Sounds great. Thank you. Okay. I see Joy already ready to come up. Okay. So we're going to go to our next, which is to consider the approval of the math adoption. This is for elementary school. So Joy Morales, our Executive Director of Elementary for CNA.
Good evening, President Galbraith, Dr. Cleveland, and members of the board. Thank you so much for letting me introduce you to our next set of recommendation for our next set of adopted materials for elementary math. I know we got a chance to speak with you during our workshop already. So this next part should go pretty quickly. We've already gone in depth about our process. So I'll go through and just give everybody a general idea of what we do for the year that we go through this. So our adoption process begins with a committed group of educators, and they're charged with identifying materials that are aligned to our New Mexico state standards. The end goal is to adopt a set of materials that support teachers and prepare our students for success in K-12. I forgot I had the clicker. Oh, I'm like, I know. She gave me.
She'll give you the clicker.
I forgot. Thank you. I'm good. There we go. The recommendation tonight will represent the written component that's grounded in standards-based instruction. This guarantees that every student will be provided an equal opportunity to learn our core curriculum with the time necessary to develop proficiency in the standards. Part of the review was to ensure our materials covered both our content standards, which is the what, as well as our standards for mathematical practices. And that's how we have students engage in the math. We have 8 mathematical practices, and they are the same for all K through 12 students. I keep forgetting I have the clip. You know what? I'm not used to this. I like to introduce I always like to acknowledge the members that serve on our committee. This year we had 31 elementary math teachers. They range from general education and special education. We also had 11 instructional coaches, and we're fortunate to have several math labs in our district. So we were able to bring 2 of those math lab teachers on. They provide a very unique lens for us and could really give some good feedback to the materials that we put in front of them and how they could be used in the math lab classroom as well. Our committee, we've got pretty rigorous expectations. Our committee members actually sign a contract committing up to 8 sessions with us as we go through vetting materials. They also pilot materials, so they get to take those materials back into their classrooms and actually use them with students and get feedback from students. That learning is shared with peers on their campus throughout the process. Again, the intent is that we adopt materials that have a strong alignment with the standards, they're rigorous, and have teacher supports, as well as meet the needs of our student diversity. I won't go as in-depth with this process. You got to see it in depth right before the meeting, but we always start with the New Mexico Public Ed approved list. And then we have a rubric that allows our teachers to with a laser lens, basically look at the materials we put in front of them. We started with 6 sets of materials this year, and then it took the entire year for them to get to where we had 2 for the publisher presentations. This entire course throughout the year, our teachers are building consensus. So by the time we get to analyzing all evidence, we usually have a pretty good idea of which set of materials is going to come out on top. And so with that, I come tonight to recommend Eureka Math Squared. With this adoption, we're looking at purchasing hands-on kits for students to actually manipulate to deepen their conceptual understanding of math concepts. We would also get student print journals, and of course, our teacher resources, which include print and online materials. So it is an investment of about $2.2 million. We are looking at investing about $27,000 in professional learning. I will have to tell you, we have been working with great minds in the past. They understand that this is a very large investment, and they have gifted 6 professional learning sessions for our district. So we will have 6 sessions provided, and so the $27,000 will cover the rest of what we feel we need for year 1 implementation. And with that, stand for questions.
Okay, Dr. Cleveland, do you want to give some comments
No, I
on
think we'll let
anything
the
else?
board
We'll go
answer.
into.
We covered a lot of this.
Yeah.
As I mentioned at the earlier part of the board meeting, we covered this in great detail as well in the workshop, which was also streamed and available. So, but let's just go to the board.
Okay, they did have us do math and fractions,
It was.
and
awful.
I might have nightmares tonight, but we will make it through. It is fun.
Great math discourse.
Yeah, we did a great math discourse. Thank you so much. Rebecca, any questions on, I know you haven't been through this before, so any questions or comments?
We learned a lot earlier.
Yeah.
Did we get the math questions right earlier?
No,
I'm joking.
we didn't. I did my math wrong.
I know, I think it was me. Okay, never mind. Sorry. Thank you for everything.
And Seth?
I don't think I have anything additional.
No additional questions on anything. Okay. It really is an interesting process to watch. And like, even though I've seen a different one, but they bring in all of these teachers, they go through all the material. It's really impressive. And they put those questions together when they have the publishers come in and they're able to ask those questions. But it's really impressive how our teachers, the way that they talk about those things, they're very critical and thinking and all of those things about it. And they really think about our students. And it's really an impressive process to watch. And it takes it. How long were you guys doing the math implementation? When did you guys start and to this point?
So, well, the process starts internally with Karen and Cara, who are here tonight as well, really whittling down the state list. So we probably start late summer, early fall, August. And then the first time we bring our team together is in September. If I counted correctly, we met 8 times total. And so it is a very heavy lift. There's a time in the middle where we really allow them to take materials back and pilot them in their classroom and get a lot of that feedback of what it actually feels like to teach them. That's when we really start to see the list of materials dwindle down, when they actually go to apply them in their classroom.
Yeah.
So it's a huge commitment.
It is. It's a big commitment, and they have to take time away from their classrooms and all of those things. And so they take it very, very seriously. But it is a good, and we have the community that's able to give all of that input as well. And I was really happy to hear how many people came in from the community to see those materials.
We had a really good turnout this year, and we were very proud of that. I think having offered that open house a little bit longer on both sides before normal work hours and then after work hours really helped to allow people to get in.
Yeah. So thank you for all of that. Anything else, Dr. Cleveland, before we go to motion?
Well, I just, again, as we said earlier, it's a major investment for the district. So a lot of time and effort goes into making sure that the materials that are selected align with the standards. If they don't align with standards, we use those in classrooms, then it's not, does not reflect well on our state assessments. And so it's a very complicated process. It is, to your point, a very heavy lift. And I really appreciate people are willing to give the time and effort to really carefully go through all those materials and to make a recommendation. As you said during the presentation, the really key drivers of this are our teachers, our math teachers, and those who are willing to come and work through this rather lengthy process. So please express our thanks to everybody who served on that committee and for your leadership in that effort. And we're pretty optimistic that the materials are going to serve us well. They have to serve us well for 6 more years. And so it is important that we get good materials, and we should be able to get the order in by the end of the month. And therefore, these materials should be in our schools before the start of the next school year.
So, okay, with that, we can go for a motion on this.
Motion to approve the math adaptation for elementary.
And then can you add Eureka Math Squared?
Eureka Math Squared.
Is that correct? Okay. And do we have a second?
Board Member Mueller, I second the motion.
We have a motion and a second, and all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? There's no one else here. So motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, our next is to consider the approval of the math adoption for secondary. And we have Dr. Stephanie Moore, Executive Director of Secondary CNI.
Good evening, Madam President Galbraith, Dr. Cleveland, members of the board. I'm here today with recommendations for the secondary math instructional material. While the first part of this will be very simple for you, your nominations or your recommendations and motions will get more complicated with
Yeah,
secondary.
this is actually going to be.
My 2 lead coordinators that help facilitate this work from the district level are Renee Byram and Susie Sittig, with the help of 4 instructional coaches at the school sites and that team. This is the same for elementary, secondary. Joy and I work very closely. We were fortunate to follow people that worked very closely previously in this job. So lots of our work is in alignment. So a lot of these things repeat for you. Our GVC, our Guaranteed and Viable Curriculum, is very important. This is foundationally how we decide on instructional materials. So the ensuring, as Dr. Cleveland has mentioned several times today, that there's an alignment between what is written and what is assessed and taught in our classrooms. We focus and ground all of our work in the New Mexico Common Core State Standards and the mathematical practices, and ensuring that all the materials that we bring forward to you today are in alignment with those so that our students have the best opportunity to learn. This is our secondary team. There are 38 teachers on this team, 4 instructional coaches, and our coordinators participate, representing ELD coordinators, English language development teachers from our school sites, our special education population, ensuring that whatever we recommend is able to support all of our diverse learners in the district. We were really fortunate this year. There were a lot of materials that scored very highly through the state process over the summer, which meant we reviewed 5 or 6, depending on the content, different instructional materials, but we didn't score anything that scored below a 94 on the state reporting. If you had to be a really strong A to get in front of this team. So that was encouraging. We were unsuccessful in getting to 2 finalists. You'll see when we move forward. We actually brought in 3 different publishers. The team did agree, both middle school and high school teams, that we wanted a single program for our core instruction for middle school and a single program for our core instruction for high school. I'm from a social studies background. This is not a common practice in social studies. Publishers often different courses pick different publishers because you have experts in different places, but it was really important for math that we pick a single for a band, a single program. So we brought in EdGyms, Amplify, and iReady for middle school. For high school, we brought in Envision, which is Savas, HMH, and Carnegie Learning, sorry. They weren't selected, so I didn't remember them. Our recommendations, our middle school recommendation is EdGyms math. This is new to the state. I want to say this out loud for board member Barry, who will listen to this later, I'm sure. We have elected to go with their enhanced version of their text to further reduce screen time in the classroom. It embeds this particular consumable text, embeds more of the tools in the consumable text, so we're not referring kids to Chromebooks as frequently. They also felt like this program provided the most flexibility while still maintaining integrity to serve all students for our district. They were also the highest rated from the ed reports in our process. Our next recommendation is Houghton Mifflin Harcourt into math. This will be for our core instruction of math, which is Algebra 1, Algebra 2, and Geometry. As I mentioned before, will also adopt a statistics book that is later in the offerings because of the change to the new math courses by the state. So in conjunction with this, they will use a stats book in Geometry and Algebra 2 to meet those standards. One thing that the committee was very excited about when it came to this particular publisher is the amount of support and resources for parents and families around math. So then we get into electives. We have some text out of Cengage and some text out of McGraw-Hill for what has traditionally been our fourth year math, and for the majority of our students will remain as their fourth year math option because kids get lots of choices in what they take for their fourth year of math. We will also have a handful of kids that will choose from these choices their third year if they do not take Algebra 2, if they're not on that pathway, or if they were in an accelerated pathway in middle school. So these are the two publishers for our electives. We also have a robust offering in AP, and College Board has a requirement for textbooks for all students for AP. And so the selections are out of Cengage and BFW for our advanced placement recommendations. Costs. So I have my costs broke down by band and area. The estimated instructional material investment is $1.8 million. That is the portion that we are thankful Carol McDowell handles and processes for us. And then an estimated professional learning investment of $41,000. Both of our core materials offered what they call onboarding initial implementation training for free. EdGyms is going to fly out to do it, but when I told HMH that I needed them to come in person, they said they only offer it virtually. This is not proven to be a successful course for us. So we have some additional fees for professional learning with HMH because I'm requiring them to come out for that training. So it's a little bit more expensive for our professional learning time for secondary. We also are working with a number of different publishers. And with that, I stand for questions.
Okay. Dr. Cleveland, do you want to add anything to this?
I pretty much said all the stuff for the previous one that I would want to thank Dr. Warren and all of the secondary teachers who worked on this, put in tremendous amount of time and effort. And so I just want to express my appreciation and acknowledgement of all the effort that went into this process.
Yeah. Thank you. Whenever you give us these reports, I always like to see all of the different teachers. And it probably shows that I have high school students just these days because I knew a lot more of the high school and middle school teachers, but really good individuals that were a part of this. And so thank you for selecting that group.
Just so you're aware, we do have representation from all of our schools involved, including all of our alternative high schools that participate, including cyber, so that they are in alignment with us. And those teachers are all selected by their instructional leaders and their administrators as the best voice for that content area to be on this team.
Yeah. So thank you. So any other questions from you all or comments for this? Do you want me to make the motion or are you guys feeling? Do you feel like you have it? Yeah, I think if we just, and now I guess I'll ask Lauren, as we make a motion, Lauren, are we good to just go through each of those? They have a slide that has like EdGyms for middle school. Can we just kind of do it generally that way with each of those? Okay.
I think you have to do each.
Do we need to, or can we just?
I think But Lauren, why do you need to do each individual one, or?
I can put them all in one motion. Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking we do it in one motion. Do we need to name each of the things, or can we just say that we're adopting what the
I
recommendation?
can, either way,
Okay,
better to name them, of course.
it's up to you.
Board Member Miller, I motion that we accept the middle school recommendation of Ed Jim's math, Algebra 1, Geostats, Algebra 2, Houghton, Mifflin, Harcourt, elective math course recommendations from the committee with Cengage and McGraw-Hill, advanced placement recommendations from the committee with Cengage and BFW.
Board Member Murray, second.
The motion in a second, and all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it. They've been here with us all day today, so we're really grateful for all of that. Thank you so much. Okay, for our next, so of course we know that we have coming up, we're going to be doing some interviewing for a new board member. And so we have some questions. Everything that we do, we have to do in the public meeting for this. So unlike when we did our superintendent, we can do a lot of those executive sessions. We can't do that with a board member coming in. So we did want to have an opportunity just to look at the questions and make sure everyone is good with the questions, and see if we need to make any changes with those. So if you guys had a chance to look over those, or do you have any discussion with that? I think I'm going to invite actually Lauren to come up. Is that okay? Just in case we do have questions. And I make him come up for everything. He's good. He's good. I'm actually going to go back into mine. All right, so we have, it looks like we have 5 that are on here. I'm not going to read through each of them. You have them in front of you. They're also up on the screen. You have questions, you can ask Lauren. I might be able to answer your questions too. Give them a moment. And we can add to these. And we want to be thoughtful, I guess, on how much time we spend with each board member, or with each potential board member. And we want to make sure that we give them, I guess that's the other question too. When we were doing like our superintendent interviews, we had a set time. And so we got through as many questions as we could in that set time. Would we like to do that where we have more of a set time, or give them each time to go through each of the questions? If they talked too much, then they didn't get through all the questions. And that was just kind of how we did it. Thoughts?
We can also have like a scoring sheet. Like somewhere when you like a new employee, you can have like question 1 is 10 points, and then depending on how they answer or what their answers are, as we individually rate like 1 through 5 or whatever, and then try and figure to help us decide. Because at the end of it, you're going to have a hard time remembering what everybody said and your notes to go back and be able to.
Madam President, Mr. Vice President, the board could do it any way that they want to do it. There's no set guidelines on how to do it.
Oh,
That would be an organized way to process it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we can do that.
So did you meet with times per question, like 2 minutes per?
So we can just say we will take 30 minutes. We could take 20 minutes. We don't have to that. We can just go through each of the questions. But that's something too that we can talk more about. We don't have to talk about it at this meeting, but maybe just keep that in your mind when we come back for that. I think it's April 7th. And we make sure that, we'll look at all the papers, see if there's anyone that we'll set up interviews and all of those things. We'll have a quick discussion so we can talk more about that there at that meeting too, if you need some time.
If the board would like, we could propose a scoring sheet at that 7th meeting.
Okay.
For the board to consider.
I think it'll make it easier.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. I like it.
No, I think it's a great idea. So how do you feel on the questions? Do you feel like these are appropriate? And
I think so. And then like the number 6 would just be if anybody has anything based off of their responses, if you want more information or something that is completely different than what's on there. But as this is public, right, and the people that are coming that apply for, they have an idea of kind of prepare their answers and not give us a 30-minute speech for each one.
I think there's some here with us today. So here they are. There's the cheat sheet right here. The questions.
The answer to 4 is C.
Well, with that, if you want to make a motion on these questions, we can make a motion to approve these. That these will be our questions unless you want to make any changes.
No,
Yeah.
I'll motion approve the draft board member interview questions. Board member Murray.
Okay.
Board Member Mueller, I'll second the motion.
We have a motion in a second. Do you have any thoughts or anything on this?
No, I think they're fine.
Okay.
And then just, can I add to,
Yeah.
for this process, I had talked to Lauren, I think so once the districts are just for the election so that you know where you live and who you're going to vote for. For this, there's nobody from District 4 that's going to be able to vote for this person. So we're not going to have a banter back and forth, but if you use the public comment option through the school board, email us or reach out to us and let us know so that at least the people that live in District 4 or in any of Rio Rancho, because once you're elected, our district numbers don't matter. We're here for the entire district, all of Rio Rancho, all of the schools are for all of us, right? It's not like I only handle the 6 schools in my district, or it's for everybody. And for us to make sure or feel that the people that live in that area, they're not voting, but they want their voices heard. To make sure that they feel that way, we want to be able to give you the opportunity to reach out and give us input on how you feel for the process so that we're not just making a decision on our own and then like just, in essence, cramming somebody down your throat and you have no idea who they are, what they're doing. This is an opportunity for you as well to provide your input as the community.
Thank you. Thanks for adding that. So with that, we have a motion and a second, and all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. So the motion carries on that for those questions. Any other questions just as a whole as our next meeting will be kind of the deep dive into these things. Any other questions on it? Okay, Lauren, any other thoughts on it, on that part of it? Okay. Okay. And I am with Seth on that. Please, if you have thoughts, we would love to hear your thoughts. So please feel free to email us and all those things. Okay, we are wrapping up our meeting for tonight, and we have a couple of last big things. And so we'll start with this item number 5, which is to consider the approval of Resolution 25-012. I've asked Lauren Hatch to be here to introduce some things, and he'll introduce another great part of our team here in just a moment to go over this more.
Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Cleveland, it's with a mixed feelings that I address you tonight. And I know there's a lot of people in this room and certainly within the community and our school community that would have welcomed this privilege to be able to address the board in preparation for the resolution tonight. I think Charles Dickens probably said it best in his famous opening to A Tale of Two Cities, that it was the best of times, it was the worst of times. And what I'm talking about is the last 6 months. The privilege of working with Dr. Cleveland is one of the honors of my life. And I know there's a lot of people in this room and in our community that would have the same sentiment. She has done so much for the children and families in our community, including my children specifically, and my spouse, who's also an employee of the district. And I don't think that we can, I don't think words can express the gratitude that we have for her work here. And I hope it's not an end to her involvement with Rio Rancho Public Schools. Winston Churchill, during World War II, when the Allies finally defeated the Nazi forces in North Africa in 1942, the end of 1942, he had this very famous quote. He said that this is not the end. It's not even the beginning of the end, but perhaps the end of the beginning. And we have the opportunity to take the torch that you have so ably carried and continue on. We're never going to be safe at home. We will always wonder, what do we need to do next? What do we need to do to continue the great legacy and tradition of Rio Rancho Public Schools? Because Dr. Cleveland, as she talked about today at the tree planting ceremony, literally started this school district with like a broken cabinet, maybe a roll of duct tape, some baling wire, and some very grand visions and people who really wanted to make this happen. And it has happened. And we honor you for that. We honor you for that. Robert Frost has many famous, very famous poems, but one that I really like is The Road Not Taken. And it ends with these words: two roads diverged in a wood. And I took the one less traveled by, and it has made all the difference. And Dr. Cleveland took the less traveled by road. I don't think there's anybody in this country that can say that they started a school district from scratch and led it for 32 years. Thank you for taking the road less traveled. We've had the privilege of seeing many different organizations over the last few months recognize Dr. Cleveland's contributions with different resolutions. The legislature, both houses of the legislature, some of our business organizations. This week on Thursday night, the city will be recognizing her contributions. And tonight, the school board has the privilege to express the words that we all feel about the tenure of Dr. Cleveland. I would like to invite Kim Nestle to come up. Kim is a longtime employee of the district. When I started working here and I first talked to Kim, I thought, I know her voice from somewhere. Where do I know that voice? And I suddenly realized it is the voice that would call me in the morning. Rio Rancho Public Schools are not open today. Because she is the voice of Rio Rancho Public Schools, at least in my mind. So I'd like to turn the time over to Kim.
Thank you, Lauren. Madam President, members of the board, and Dr. Cleveland. This is a great privilege. And I didn't know I was going to be doing this until I got here tonight. So, as a point of personal privilege, I would like to mention a couple of things. I met Dr. Cleveland 25 years ago, which is amazing because neither of us are that old, you know. Yeah, we were just youngsters then. And she came in on a Saturday to interview me for a position with the district. And I think I spent the first 5 minutes of the interview apologizing for the fact that she had come in on a Saturday. Well, little did I know she's here every Saturday, you know. Since then, I retired from the district about 2.5 years ago. But for all of the time I was here, I worked very closely with Dr. Cleveland and directly reported to her for the majority of that. And I learned so much from you. It was such an honor to work with you. And you were a terrific mentor and a good friend. And I really want to express my appreciation for that. And with that, I have been asked to read the resolution that the board has under consideration this evening. This is resolution number 25012, recognizing Dr. Visu Cleveland, EDD, for her outstanding service as the founding superintendent of Rio Rancho Public Schools. Whereas on July 9th, 1993, the Board of Education for the state of New Mexico established Rio Rancho Public Schools as New Mexico's 83rd school district. And whereas in February of 1994, Dr. Visu Cleveland, a native New Mexican and graduate of Sandia High School in Albuquerque, who received her BA degree from the University of New Mexico, her MA from New Mexico State University, and her doctorate in education from the University of Houston, was chosen from among 7 finalists as the district's first superintendent of schools. And whereas Dr. Cleveland returned to New Mexico to assume leadership of RRPS after gaining experience as a teacher, administrator, and superintendent in New Mexico, Texas, and South Carolina. And whereas in a matter of months, Dr. Cleveland assembled a leadership team, hired staff, and established the support structure needed to operate the new school district. And whereas RRPS officially began operations on July 1st, 1994, with approximately 5,900 students in 5 elementary and 2 middle schools. And whereas today, Rio Rancho's public schools enrollment exceeds 6,500 students, or 16,500 students, sorry, folks. At Shining Stars Preschool, 11 elementary schools, 4 middle schools, and 4 degree-granting high schools, and of course also Rio Tech. And whereas Dr. Cleveland has provided stable, student-centered leadership to Rio Rancho Public Schools for more than 3 decades, and is currently the longest-serving superintendent of schools in the state of New Mexico. And whereas under Dr. Cleveland's leadership, Rio Rancho Public Schools has earned state and national recognition for academic achievement and its athletic, fine arts, career technical, and co-curricular and extracurricular activities and programs. And whereas since 1994, Dr. Cleveland has maintained collaborative relationships with the members of the district's boards of education, implementing board policy while providing mentorship and wise guidance to the 30 individuals who have served on the board. And whereas Dr. Cleveland has played an active role in shaping educational policy in New Mexico through her service on numerous legislative and educational task forces and advisory committees. And whereas Dr. Cleveland's many recognitions and honors include recognition as an AASA National Superintendent of the Year finalists, the Governor's Award for Outstanding New Mexico Women, and induction into the New Mexico Coalition of Educational Leaders Hall of Fame. And whereas Dr. Cleveland fostered cooperation among governmental agencies, local business, and educational institutions to benefit the community and help each student ignite his or her full potential. And whereas Rio Rancho Public Schools, under Dr. Cleveland's leadership, has been credited as a major force in encouraging industry, businesses, and families to choose Rio Rancho and Sandoval County as a place to live, work, and raise children. And whereas Dr. Cleveland emphasizes education as a collaborative effort, and whereas she expresses her gratitude to parents, teachers, students, colleagues, board members, governmental partners, and community members who contribute their time, talent, and resources to the goal of graduating students as responsible, ethical, and productive citizens, equipped with a solid foundation for individual success. And whereas Dr. Cleveland has recently become a first-time grandmother and looks forward to traveling and spending time with her family in her retirement. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Rio Rancho Public Schools Board of Education congratulates Dr. Visu Cleveland, expresses its appreciation for her 3 decades of service to RRPS's children, teachers and staff, and the citizens of Rio Rancho, and wishes her all the best as she enjoys retirement. Thank you, and we present this for your consideration.
Thank you so much, Kim. I move to approve the resolution 25-012.
Board Member Murray, second.
Okay, and all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you. I want you to have the last say here in just a moment. And I want everyone to first just applaud that beautiful resolution and stand. And so I'm going to give you a chance to talk. Maybe you'll hate me for it later. I'm not sure, but we have some pictures up here, some different events that have been happening over the last, little bit and in our district. We have some ribbon cuttings. I have to thank Wyndham for pulling these together, and we've been trying to figure out the right pictures to pull up. But here's some different ribbon cuttings that we've had in the district, and thank you so much for pulling those together. Here's some more recognitions that that you've had over the years. I don't know what else to add. So many beautiful words have been said, and we had a wonderful opportunity today. And I love that picture in the middle with you and your son. And I know your other son wasn't able to be with us as we planted a beautiful tree this afternoon. But truly, on behalf of our community and on behalf of our board, Dr. Cleveland, we're so grateful for you and for your service and for all that you have done for us. Over the last 6 years, I think I could just sit in awe and watch you. My plan was to run and to be someone that could support you. And I've gotten to know you. Dr. Cleveland and I get to meet about every other week for the last 6 years, and we go over agendas, and sometimes we just catch up, and sometimes our meetings, I think, go a little bit long. But as we have spoken, and as we talk about the community, as we talk about the students, as we talk about the teachers and the staff, there have been times of tears, times of hard things that have happened. And there have been great times of tears of joy. And one of those greatest joys was the birth of her grandbaby. I think that was one of the sweetest moments, was to sit there and to talk to you about those things. But just once again, I want to say thank you. I really thought this day would actually not come, and here it is today, this last meeting with you. I also these are some flowers. Thank you, Rebecca, for picking these up for the board, but here's some flowers in a card from the board. So I want to give you an opportunity to say some words and have that last.
Thank you. You know, what she knows is I always like the last word. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
President Galbraith. I do want to say a few words. I do want to recognize a couple of folks who are here. We have two former board members. Don Schlichty, Trish, are here this evening. Don served on our board. He corrected me. I didn't have that right in my memory, but he served 16 years on the board as president. And then Ronaldo Garcia, Dr. Garcia is here. And he was on one of the earliest boards, time we were really building that foundation for the district, and was sharing some of the challenging times we had with that. And then he came back and finished a term for Senator Brandt. And we were really glad to have him come back. And another person I would want to mention is Richard Bruce, who was one of the original members of the admin team. He was executive director of IT, and then a chief operations officer for the district for many years. So glad to have him here this evening. I'm glad all of you are here, and thank you for coming. We had a wonderful ceremony this afternoon, a tree planting, and we had people from day one of the district through today, and every one of those people had really made amazing contributions to our district. Teresa Sice is here. She was our transportation director, and then our lobbyist for a good number of years, and very important person in the start of the school district. But everyone was important, and everyone contributed, and we had people from the business community, we had staff, we had friends of the district, and so it was wonderful. You know, when we did begin, as it's been mentioned several times, we started with just very little, and as Lauren has said, you know, we did have a file cabinet that didn't work, and a desk that was an old metal military desk. I have no idea where it came from. And Intel loaned us the first computer, and Rio Rancho Printing, one of our local businesses, gave us a copy machine. And we had a map of the district on the wall, and we were in a condemned building. It was the only building available in Rio Rancho at the time. It was going to go down, they were going to close it down for Unser Boulevard, for the widening of Unser. And we were moving out of that building into this building as they were tearing down the back, literally. And we had some amazingly difficult times, and yet from the very beginning, it's always been a team effort. And we have had a fabulous team over the many years that we have been a district. And they worked so hard to make the district what it is today, and really worked hard to build the district to the kind of district that we all wanted in this community. And we grew right along with the city. I mean, the city was brand new then. And so partnerships with the city, partnerships with the county, the history of building the first high school, which we thought wouldn't come for 10 or more years. And Carla Walker was there this afternoon, and she was the first member of the school, first president of the school board, but had worked 10 years on a committee, 10 years of working the legislature and the state board to get this district created. And so it's just been a labor of love, and it's been the most amazing journey. And one of the things that I have said on a couple of occasions is it truly was once in a lifetime opportunity, and you probably don't want to do it more than once in your lifetime. So it has been a wonderful experience. I also, and I didn't do it this afternoon, but I sure meant to. I wanted to thank my family, certainly my son who is here. One of my other sons is tied up with storm baseball. But I also want to mention my husband, who gave a tremendous amount of time to this district. And I think he liked it better than I did at times, you know. But he was the one that went out at night. He didn't want me to go out at night when the alarms went off. And our facilities person lived on the other side of the mountain. And he would go out and he would check. And he would check the buildings. And he just did so many things. So I want to thank him as well. But I'm trying not to cry today. It's really hard. Thank you all. It has been an amazing opportunity and a real honor to work with all of you, every one of you. And I wish you well. I wish Dr. Dodd, I told you today, certainly I think we have many wonderful things to look forward to in the future in this district. And one of the things I was already enjoying was saying, I don't think it's my problem. He's right down the hall. So he is picking up some of those things now and has a lot to carry on. And it seems very excited about the new opportunities and seems to be working his way into the community and enjoying the opportunities he has to meet and work with some of you. And so again, thank you all for coming. And it has been just a wonderful opportunity, wonderful boards over all the years, and wonderful board members. You know, it's, you know, just in terms of being a superintendent, the board is just one of the most important factors in successful superintendency. And we've been blessed with board members previously, currently, and you can't have a great school district without great staff and without great teachers and administrators. And we have wonderful ones. And one of the things that Dr. Dodd has said as he's come in is how impressed he is with the staff that is here, with the people, and what they know and what they're willing to do and what they bring to the table. And so he has, I think, a great group of folks to build that team as we look to the future. And I do believe the district has a very bright future. And so again, thank you all. Appreciate you coming this evening and appreciate all you have meant to the district over 32 years. I can't believe it's been 32 years. I just sometimes think, my gosh, in many ways it's like yesterday. And then in many times it feels like 32 years. But again, I do appreciate each and every one of you and for all of your many contributions. And the tree planting was wonderful. Thank you for that wonderful experience this afternoon. We had a great turnout and it was wonderful to see so many people there.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I unfortunately have to say a couple more words to adjourn our meeting tonight. But we have some cupcakes, I believe, that are just right outside. And thanks, Claudia, for getting those things together. So I want to thank everyone again for coming tonight. As I adjourn this meeting tonight, I welcome you to stand once more and to applaud Dr. Cleveland for all of her work. But this meeting's adjourned for tonight. Let's go have cupcakes. Let's go have cupcakes. And we can chat and talk out in the hallway.